We'll pass it over to Tyrese and Sanaa to give a little introduction and talk about their experience as a Ray Fellow, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. If you would like to come off mute and chat, you will need to raise your hand so that we can unmute you. And so that will be the process is raise your hand, and then we'll unmute you if you want to come off, um, actually ask your question out loud.
I can start with my background. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to come to our webinar today. It means a lot. My name is Tyrese Mitchum, and I'm currently a Ray Fellow working at Ocean Conservancy. And at Ocean Conservancy, I'm on the government relations team, and that involves working across several different of our programs, including like plastics, shipping, offshore oil and gas decommissioning, a bunch of stuff that I was unfamiliar with beforehand. And it's been a remarkable once in a lifetime experience for me personally. A bit of background, I went to school in UC Santa Barbara, originally from California. And so I graduated from UCSB in 2024 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Environmental Studies and Sociology. And upon graduating, I just was not entirely sure where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. Almost went to law school just because I was like, man, I'm sure I'll figure it out there potentially. But that's when I thankfully found out about the Ray Fellowship and applied, just like I'm sure all of y'all will be doing as well. And once I got my fellowship, I moved to Washington, D.C. to begin at Ocean Conservancy. And since starting, I've just had a remarkable time, both professionally and socially. I've been able to take up major projects such as my United States of Plastics report that's allowed me to go in depth about all the different laws in place throughout all 50 states within the US, including Washington, D.C., to see where they're doing in terms of plastic policy and be able to actually present that at several conferences, most recent of which was at the Ocean Science meeting. Through also personal development funds, I've been able to travel to like San Diego. I guess that's back home for me since that's where I came from, but to work with Black and Marine Science folks to do some stuff there. Had opportunities to go scuba diving and get scuba certified. You name it. I've actually had a very pleasant and joyful Ray experience, so I'm happy to go in depth more in case folks have questions. But just now, I guess my main theme was that I was an environmental studies and sociology major and went into this Ray Fellowship for policy and advocacy, and it's a little bit different, but I've been very much learning this entire time, and taken back with me very helpful, crucial professional skills from it. So, very long spiel. I will pass it over to Sanaa
That was not long at all. That was exactly how long you should have taken. So I'll start off by
now.
saying that. It's so nice to meet all of you virtually. Thank you so much for joining. We are so excited that you guys are interested in joining the Ray Fellowship. My name's Sanaa Page. I'm currently also part of Cohort 9. I'm originally from Arlington, Virginia. My family's originally from Washington, D.C., so shout out to any of you that are from Northern Virginia. I went to undergrad at Virginia Tech. I got my Bachelor of Arts in Public and Urban Affairs, but my major was specifically Smart and Sustainable Cities with a minor in Africana Studies. I had a big dedication and passion towards environmental conservation, but specifically really like having immersed myself in nature, doing a couple of trail maintenance and rehabilitation programs in high school kind of showed me that this was the path that was best for me and the path that I wanted to go down and combine my love for urban studies in. I currently work at the Wildlife Conservation Network, where I'm an impact analyst and Ray Conservation Fellow. And here I'm in charge of developing and executing systems for data collection and analysis. So it's basically my job to build a monitoring, evaluation, and learning program or a department of sorts, honestly. It's been really amazing. Like Tyrese has said, I'll echo him here. There's been nothing short of opportunity being both a part of this fellowship, but also the broader ELP network, and especially, getting more thrown into our host organizations and those broader communities as well. My organization is remote, so I'm fully online. The Ray Fellowship is also fully online, which is really amazing. So it allows me to have a flexible schedule, and my organization is also global. This is the first global organization I have ever worked with in my life, and it was also my first full-time job after college. So I'm just so grateful to be a part of such an amazing community, but get that exposure and the access to reach wider into the world and kind of see conservation through that lens and through people in the field. So it's been really amazing. And I just want to also share that if you're looking to gain hands-on experience, if you're looking to be taken seriously and really be able to be a leader in whatever position you might take on, this is definitely the fellowship for you. Something really cool that I've done in my time here was that I was able to design thematic categories so that we could better showcase our impact to donors and map conservation all the way to the people that are in the field so that we can really make sure that people get a holistic picture of what conservation looks like and what it takes. We have to really support people at the individual and organizational levels to make sure that they are also able to develop and grow capacity to do all different kinds of things. So this has been really amazing, but I'd say the best part for me has just been getting to learn so many unique perspectives, but really getting the support of the other fellows in my cohort, like Tyrese, who's been so amazing to take this journey with. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about that. Thanks, guys.
All right, I'm seeing in the chat a question. What was your favorite aspect of the Ray Fellowship?
There are a lot. Um, let's see. I really like the opportunities to extend my social circle through the Ray Fellowship. I mentioned this earlier during like a different call, but recently I was hanging out with one fellow at a social gathering when I ran into another Ray alumni, and through that was able to socially network and build more relationships. Got some advice on grad school, which was just like completely unexpected, but just goes to show that like the Ray network has really just like expanded my professional networking skills, which I think is really great and invaluable. I've really appreciated the opportunities it's given me to just like build out my portfolio. I mentioned the United States of Plastics report beforehand, but I've also been able to publish a blog through Ocean Conservancy. I'm working with another fellow at Ray to get some other work published. So that should be really fun. Keep an eye out for that. Just really sprucing up my resume, which is really great. And I guess, yeah, finally, I mentioned this beforehand. Law school was going to just be like my go-to. But through the fellowship and my mentors who I've had, I've really understood that it is like something I'm passionate about and that I have a knack for. And so doing the Ray Fellowship in between is just really giving me the skills to better like apply myself and apply to the programming, which I think is really great. Giving me a lot of references that I can use to, fit out that resume. So plus, I have insurance now. Having a full-time job is pretty lit. So, yeah, I mean, I could go on, but yeah, there are a lot of pros to it, I'll say.
I would say my number one pro is pretty similar to Tyrese. But aside from networking and the community aspect, something that I really feel like the fellowship gave to me was not only the ability to study environmental justice, but to actually become a practitioner of it. And I feel like that opportunity is so rare, especially when you're full time, freshly out of college. You might feel like people are kind of still looking at you almost like an intern, not really giving you that full autonomy and creativity to really express yourself and showcase how much growth you can have in your role. But I would say my number one favorite thing specifically about the fellowship community is our calls. We regularly have cohort calls, which are kind of like a curated, safe space for us as fellows with ELP and Ray staff to come together on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on whenever things are scheduled. But we basically use this space to kind of check in, catch up, really support, but just kind of like get a pulse check on how everyone's doing, how things have been going at our fellowships, share any grievances that we might have, any conflicts that have arisen within the time that we've been in our role and at our host organization. And so that's something that I always find so much value in, especially because when you are fully remote, like I am specifically, it's really hard to kind of place yourself in community when everything is online. And so really Ray is so intentional with carving out that time for us to ensure that we can check in with each other and that we are always together along each step of the way. And something else that I'll mention too is we do professional development calls. So in addition to our cohort calls where we do standing check-ins with each other, we also have calls basically curated around learning different things related to our journeys in our full-time position, but really navigating the workplace as an emerging leader of color. And I think that's something that's so invaluable to this program. I've taken so much away from all of our professional development calls, but really it's been amazing to have a platform to vocalize our needs as fellows, vocalize our needs as emerging leaders, so that we can be confident in these spaces, but also comfortable navigating them, especially given that we are currently in a climate that's kind of challenging the norm of how things should be viewed, especially pertaining to diversity, as something that's so critical to working in conservation or clean energy sectors. But yeah, I would say, like piggybacking off Tyrese, the networking aspect has been absolutely phenomenal. I was able to attend the Yale New Horizons and Conservation convening last year, and that was actually paid for with the support of the Ray Fellowship and Rewild, which was so beautiful. And myself and other fellows got to represent ELP at large, which was amazing. We got to mix and mingle with some of the Yale fellows, undergraduate and graduate level, as well as tons and tons of amazing activists and leaders in the environmental justice space and conservation. And that was so inspiring for me. I never thought I'd be in rooms with like Dr. Charles Lee, Dorcetta Taylor, and Leah Penniman, just a few examples of folks that had attended the Yale convening last year. So that was absolutely amazing. And it was completely paid for as well, because something else that I'd love to mention right now is that we actually receive professional development stipends through the fellowship from our host organization. So your host organization puts, I think, around $1,500 or $1,000 towards your professional development each year of your fellowship. It will reset, and that's been really amazing because we can use that fund to take courses online, attend workshops and webinars that might have a cost to them if that's a barrier to your entry, and especially being able to attend conferences and things that sometimes you might have to travel to, you might have to pay for lodging for, and so that's also been something that's really great, and an entire aspect of this fellowship that I felt like I would not have received should I have taken another route. So yeah, those are just some of my favorites.
There was a question for Therese. It was saying, asked what was the relocation process like for you?
Yeah, good question. Because I was coming from California to DC, and honestly, it was pretty seamless. I got a stipend through my work to be able to relocate, which was extremely helpful. Um, Also fortunate enough for me, I moved in with some people that I knew beforehand, so I had like a basis already to start off with. I know it's like different for everybody, but there was a lot of support both through Ray and my host organization when it came to moving out here, which I'm very appreciative of. I think like the hardest part was just the weather. Being a California kid, I was used to like it already always being sunny, and it's just like crazy in DC with the winters. But the relocation process was very manageable, I would say. As someone who was personally like a little bit nervous to still relocate, even though like beforehand, super keen on taking up work elsewhere and like starting my whole life. It can be, you know, a little bit intimidating to move out on your own, but I think through both Ray and my host org, I was able to complete that process much more seamlessly than it would have been anywhere else. So, yeah, it was really great.
And then just flagging that Nina, you have your hand up, so I'm gonna take you off mute if you wanted to ask your question, or it was if it was a follow-up to something.
Thanks. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. So I had a question for both Tyrese and Sanaa. Thank you for sharing your experiences so far. something Sanat said that really resonated with me was sort of being taken seriously as a recent college grad and having the opportunity to take up more space and develop your sort of own ideas or initiatives in a more sort of I wouldn't say maybe it's like, at the same thing as a mid-level like leadership role, but it's sort of your own like leadership capacity. So I was wondering if you could maybe speak more to the opportunities that you had to do that and, what kind of happened along those lines. Thank you.
Yeah, I can definitely jump in here first. So I feel like my role has actually made me a leader on accident, and that's simply because the organization that I work for, Wildlife Conservation Network, actually did not have anything related to impact on their conservation programs team, which is the team that I primarily work with. I actually work across the entire organization, so I work across about 4 departments, including my own, which would be like our finance team, our donor engagement team, as well as our marketing communications team. So it was definitely something to kind of get thrown into a role where I had a little bit of a roadmap, but I honestly spent the entire first year kind of building the rest of that out with my supervisor. So it was really interesting kind of coming in and being able to design my own position, to kind of create my own projects. That's something specific to my role at my host organization because that's the way they allow me to be in my role. But I would say the experience will definitely look different depending on what your position is and where you are working. But something really amazing is that I became a leader in my own right with having to create my own projects, with having to do outreach to specific members on different teams to make sure that they not only knew who I was, but that I was, of course, here to work with them, work alongside them, but really to serve our broader community of donors and conservation partners. And so I really had to kind of step into my own confidence, if you will, and really like take things by my bootstraps, honestly, and kind of just, honestly almost fake it till you make it. Like, exactly what you're doing. It's just about making sure that you can present that part to the staff and the partners around you. And so I would say the number one thing that pushed me out of my comfort zone was definitely having to kind of build my own role from scratch. But it was also great because it gave me time and space to vocalize what I was struggling with, to vocalize what I wanted to work on that I wasn't currently on, if there was an open project or opportunity. So really making sure that you help place yourself in the positions that you want to be in, and making sure that you use your voice to empower that always. And so really being able to step in and speak up for yourself was something that I learned is so important if you want to ever be a leader, but to be a successful one at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was an excellent answer. Nice. Um, I'll add like a little bit, just like my personal experience and what I've learned, because um, even like the first month that I got to Ocean Conservancy, I was being put in situations and positions in which like I had never experienced before, but like felt heavily supported. That being, since government relations fellow, I was working on the Hill a lot. So I put my suit and tie on, and I was at congressional offices for the first time, lobbying for particular bills that we supported. And so before, I had never done anything like that. And I assumed that going into like Republican offices, even Democratic offices, I would be like essentially on trial, having to like defend my points of view. And I'm sitting in front of the staff or like shaking beforehand because I'm like, oh man, I have to like, it's up to me to really deliver this bill. But I was really supported by my team and it went very smoothly. For those who are curious, Hill staffers are very nice and kind individuals. And for the few opportunities I've had to actually meet with representatives, they are also very kind and nice. But that was like very invaluable experience to get right off the bat. Understanding what type of work goes into preparing for those types of meetings, understanding the type of follow up that goes in afterwards, what offices are more inclined to listen to your point of view, what that outreach even looks like. And there's just so many levels that come from that. I've been able to be a part of a lot of work planning meetings because, as we know, different administration, different priorities. There was a lot of adjustments that had to be made. So understanding in what areas we could still find ourselves being able to advocate for certain environmental, renewable energy sources and what areas we might have to defend entire administrations, like NOAA. agencies rather. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of really invaluable experiences that have put me in a lot of positions that I never would have thought I'd be in, especially right out of undergrad, that I'm very thankful for. And to be, like Sana said, treated as an adult, as a genuine professional, I feel like has really instilled within me the confidence to be able to do these things. You know, it's not as ludicrous as I would have once thought to have to prepare an entire team for a meeting with the particular offices and being able to run us through an entire agenda in order to make sure that we're staying on top of all these top line issues. That's just kind of what my week typically looks like now. So I've really felt myself transform over these 2 years, and I'm very proud of that. And I do owe that to her. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I think Adrian, you have your hand raised, so I'm gonna allow you to talk. And then just flagging that we've got about 10 more minutes. So we'll allow one more share and then we'll move back over to the Q&A and try and move through as many of those as we can. But we may not be able to get through all of them today because we only have so much time scheduled. But go ahead and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay. So yeah, you touched on a bit, both of you touched on it a bit, but I kind of want to ask this question just to see if I get a different answer a little bit. But what were the first 3 months of your fellowship like in terms of workload? And did you feel comfortable coming into the new work environment? Like, did you have anybody that assisted you in your job in terms of not just the work itself, but also like the work environment and the community, understanding what the chain of command was and understanding who you were supposed to go to and who you were supposed to answer to, and then following through with that type of stuff?
Yeah, I love that question. I'll jump in. I'll give the more if you're remote working only answer because Tyrese is kind of hybrid. But yeah, the first 3 months were honestly amazing. Like, as you know, the first 3 months is going to be your probationary period where they get to kind of, you get to test the waters, dip your toe in, see how you're feeling at the position, but really kind of reflect on those first 3 months with your supervisor. So I have an internal supervisor at my organization, but something that Ray encouraged us to do early on when we had started was to also identify a mentor separate from your host org supervisor. So I also have my own mentor who works on a different team than I do internally. So I had two people that I could regularly check in with that were always going to be on my team and kind of have my back, if that makes sense. And it was really great for my specific role, given that I have to work across departments to have different point people. But really, my supervisor was my main point of contact that was so, so supportive and made the experience really comfortable for me to come into, just like you're asking about. I never felt like I was alone. If I felt like I was stumped on something and I didn't know what else to work on, I could message them and reach out to them asking if they had any additional tasks that I could join or that I could take on. But I did spend a good portion of my first 90 days doing a lot of research. So my job as an impact analyst is really to make sure that we can create systems and structures, but really refine the ways that we want to do impact measurement and reporting. And before this job, I had no idea how to do that at all. So I basically spent the first year learning all about impact measurement, all about impact reporting, what impact measurement looks like, what it is, how it works at different organizations from for-profit to nonprofit, specifically looking at the nonprofit sector because that's where I work as well. But really getting to take a bunch of different webinars, attend different workshops, and really like dive into a bunch of courses. I actually got certified in impact measurement by this organization called GVI. And they have a couple of other things if you guys want to check that resource out. But that was really amazing. My organization had paid for that, but I felt so supported by both my supervisor and my team because they knew that these were things that were going to directly align with my role. So that's one thing I'll say about your professional development funds. You should usually want to map that anytime you use it, whether it's a workshop, webinar, anything, back to your specific role. But I had tons of people to assist me despite the fact that we're remote. We have like chats, and I also meet with my conservation programs team every 2 weeks. And then we also do all hands. We do two different calls. We do a programs call for the programs team to report back on what's ongoing within our network, as well as an all hands, which is just all the staff all together joining for us to do check-ins, celebrate birthdays, and different things like that. So we have so much online engagement internally at my host org outside of the Ray community, if that's helpful.
Thanks for that. I want to call attention to one of the questions in the Q&A because this one relates directly to like the application process, but it looks like Gloria had asked, can you share how you prepared for the interview process and how did that look for you?
I can share what I did, what personally worked for me. Having a bit of the questions beforehand because they were shared, which is very helpful. Had it up in a little Google Doc, and I just went through bulleted answers on generally how I wanted to answer each of these questions, and then from there started framing a bit of the narrative and story I wanted to tell with each of these questions, the type of person I wanted to portray myself as, key parts of my professional career up until that point that I really wanted to highlight, at that point, I'd done a senior thesis that I was really proud of, as well as some work at a marine research lab. So I wanted to really nail those going forward, as well as circle around and highlight some other things. But you don't need to have everything written down word for word exactly what you're going to say. I would actually advise against that. Not that like you need to worry about sounding robotic. If that helps you, that's absolutely helpful as well. But just understanding the general flow of how you want the conversation to go, I think is really helpful and assuring. And it just kind of lets you know, just typically exactly where you want to take this interview yourself personally. And if you have a friend also that's willing to help you run through the questions as well, I think that's also a huge plus. I ran it across a few of my friends and even a mentor at one point. It's not a scary interview, I promise you. The Raid team are very delightful, friendly people, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, you can definitely take those into account.
I can go ahead and step in if you don't mind, Nicole, and answer the question about feeling lonely during the fellowship because I feel like as someone who is fully remote, I
Yes,
like 1000% attest to this.
I think you are the right person to answer
Yeah,
that
right.
question.
No, too, like Tyrese, if there's anything to add at the end, please jump in. But like, yes, you can always feel lonely in any position, even if you're hybrid, even if you're in person, but especially because I'm fully remote, it can be really lonely working and feeling like you don't really have anybody, to turn to and just like do a quick chat with or go on a walk with. But something that I've done, especially within the 2 years and learned to build into my schedules, being intentional also about having standing check-ins with my colleagues, my closer colleagues, but really those people of support too that I work with on a regular basis. And so we'll just set like standing check-ins. If you can make it, awesome. If you can't make it, that's okay. And then we'll just do the exact same thing next week. So it's kind of like creating that space to have like a coffee chat, if you will, really to just make sure that you're reminding yourself that you can be in community even if you're fully remote. But we also do that outside of Ray's programming. Our cohort 9 and the cohort prior to us, cohort 8, actually made a standing check-in for all of us to join, and that's also a weekly thing. We'll all just join if we can. Again, it's really amazing because then you'll just pop in and see like all your besties and it's like, oh hey, and we'll do work sessions together. So sometimes we'll just be working and we'll have like a 5-minute catch up in the beginning. Sometimes it'll just be talking the whole time. So that's been really supportive. I'm sure Tyrese can attest to that too.
Yeah, definitely echoing that. That was a huge source of joy for me throughout the workday, our work sessions. Um, so nice to just catch up on what everybody's been doing, hear everybody's successes, be able to celebrate that with them, a little bit of their struggles, be able to carry them through that. It's a crazy time to be alive, there's news happening every single day. So being able to just vent with that has also been really helpful. So definitely cannot highlight the Ray Network enough. But yeah, there's another fellow who works with me at Ocean Conservancy Aspen, and so there's a lot of areas for us to get in contact with one another. Being hybrid, I am able to go into the office, so there are so many other individuals that can touch base with that also helps alleviate some loneliness. I feel very fortunate that my team on government relations at Ocean Conservancy are such a social bunch. Maybe you have to being in the government relations space, talking to staffers and senators all the time. But yeah, no, there will certainly be areas of loneliness. I think that just comes naturally when you find yourself in a whole different environment. But know that there are, a lot of avenues in which people support you, and which people can you can reach out and have others uplift you, I think is really special and important. So, if you start feeling that way, just know we got you. You can always reach out. And in that same vein, also, I know because we're running out on time, my email is available to everyone. Please reach out with any questions. I'm happy to be a resource to anybody.
I love that. Thank you, Tyrese. We are actually coming to the close of our time. I'm actually going to drop the Ray Fellowship's contact information in the chat. So if we didn't get to one of your questions, please send us an email and we're happy to respond to them. I will also type my email in the chat just so that you have it directly. And if Sanaa and Tyrese are willing to, they do not have to, they can share their emails in the chat. It's always an invitation. But I want to thank you all so much for spending this hour with us. It was really lovely to like hear all your thoughtful questions. And just one final tip around the application is like take your time, have people review it, check for little things like spelling mistakes. There are a lot of people that were anticipating applying. So taking the time to really be thoughtful about what you're writing about will help you in the end. And refer back to our website for our FAQ for eligibility questions. If you don't see a specific question on the FAQ, please reach out to us, but use the FAQ function first. That's always a great place to start. And if you run into any like technical issues as you're moving through the application process, please reach out to Ray. That email is monitored by most of the staff at ELP. And so you'll likely get a faster response than just emailing. I mean, you could email one of us individually, but it might be a little quicker if you just email Ray because we're all looking at that and know that questions are coming in at this time. Thank you all. And like Mo said in the chat, this will be recorded and we'll be sharing out the slides with you at the end of this call. So you don't have to remember every little nugget of information that we've shared. You can come back to it at your own time for your brain to process. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you all. Take care.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you.
We'll pass